Apparently, Riley's apartment was recently broken into. Can't be a coincidence.
Maybe Riley's problems in Texas followed him to D.C.
All right, we'll have to hit this case on two fronts, here and Texas. So, who's going down there?
Well, don't ask me. Delilah will kill me if I had to do this TV interview, so.
Looks like it's you two. Saddle up.
I love Texas. I've never been, but I watch all the Westerns.
Just promise me you're not gonna wear a cowboy hat.
I promise nothing.
Really, it was really exciting. You know, I've been, a horse, fanatic since I was a little boy. I grew up in Venezuela riding horses my whole life since I was very, very little. So having an opportunity to kind of just, get back in the saddle, if you will, was very exciting. And I'm working on a couple of things that I think I'm working on a project, that hopefully I can get back with, with a daily horse in my life, But it is, there's a different experience when you have a co-star that has that presence on set, and every time that horse will come on, will come into the scene, I would just be hypnotizing. But it was really fun. It was really fun to play something that's been in my strength, something that I love so much, and just to have it in the show on my 9-to-5 job was show up. It was like it was like a show and tell, like, hey, co-stars, look at what I can do. You know what I mean? Like, you never knew that I could do this. But, so it was very fun. I think you're seeing the making of somebody who has had to deal and grow up and, be part of a life that was handed to him, and I think that with when you have a show that does such a great job of continuing to create a more of a three-dimensional look at all the characters and really diving into what drives them, who are they as people, these little breadcrumbs tells you so much. I mean, like, we didn't have to do a full scene on it, where we were able to just have these little breadcrumbs tells you so much about who we are. And I think that's what's really special about NCIS. I think what the mothership has done for so many years is being able to continue to chip away at the iceberg of these characters. And it's just it's a blast, such a unique job to have. I don't think a lot of shows do this often, but they really submerge themselves in the experience of the people that are solving the case, while also allowing those cases to bring the best or the worst out of them sometimes. So for Torres, a lot of that is coming up. I mean, I think he's in a very stable place. I think you're gonna going into season 22. You are gonna see a more motivated, more more sand, but the same animal, in Torres. And we're definitely be having some great conversations about what's to come for him and for the rest of the cast, and the dynamics. We're going to try to shake it up a little bit, the dynamics between all the characters too, just to do something really fun and unique. And see, because every character, when they play together, something else comes out of them that it's exclusive to those characters. So that's what we're up to. So that's what we always try to cultivate. So what you saw with the horses and those tiny little things that I was saying to you makes it feel that way. It makes it feel personal. And I think these characters are so beloved by the audiences that you really get the real estate to do so. Yeah, I think both have experienced tons of tragedy in their lives. I think they've come from really, really dark expectations for them. I think as minorities, I think that they kind of bond over that too. Katrina Law is a very capable actress. She's someone that really will go for it, and she's very much like me. Like if it was up to us, we'd be doing all our own stunts, right? Completely, But I think the fun thing about having a character like Knight and a character like Torres playing together is that when they show up into the scene, when they show up the screen, something's gonna go down. That when you have two capable, characters like that enter the scene, something is going to break. So I think what I love about them two together is that, they have nothing to lose and everything to gain from just being truthful, transparent, and very straightforward, and that's who they are. I think for me as a character, I think for Torres, someone who's been in the team a little longer than Katrina's character, than Agent Knight, there's so much that Agent Knight is learning, about herself that's coming to the surface, in her daily job in the squadron with the NCIS team. And then for Torres, seeing her, evolve, he sees a little bit of that. He sees a little bit of what he went through. He's understanding. They have a really good report, and we're going to play deeper into that next season as well. We're going to try to make sure that this dynamic duo continues to play, but continues to know each other on other levels, and almost become, more than family, partners they can really trust. She wanted that, okay? She wanted the Cowboy. And that's what I'm telling you right now, that was her thing. That's what she wanted. I was like, okay, I want to upstage you with my phenomenal, very much belonging hat on myself. So, but it was kind of funny. We thought, in a world, it made a lot of sense that Torres would want to wear a hat. But it was such a sweet, and she looked so fun, with the hat on. So we're like, okay, we'll let her have it. It was a cool little banter in between them. And Torres is always occasionally the grumpy guy anyway, so he will probably find a way to have an opinion about it. But the cowboy hat was such a good look, and I definitely think that at some point we need to have Torres in that. But definitely cowboy boots. I think Torres should definitely be wearing cowboy boots at some point. But it is funny, like the picture of the two of us together, the contrast, like someone is drinking the Kool-Aid completely on this side, and the other one is just like, hey man, we're only here for 48 hours, okay? I don't think we need to go that hard, So that aspect of things to me was so humorous and so funny. I think the fans are gonna have a good time with that one. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think I always say this. NCIS does this incredibly well. They know how to pay tribute to the network. They know how to pay tribute to all family members within the network, and we have a really good time having doing that. And I think one of the writers is a huge Yellowstone fan, because that is a very obvious influence on the show. But when you are going in season 21 and you're swinging for the fences and you have this much runway to do, you have the luxury of just saying, why not? Let's do that, and but it still stays within the original lines, the original guidelines of what the show is. We never tried to draw too much outside the line, but we've never seen these characters in a ranch like that. So we thought that was a cool setting to base a conspiracy around, and I think it proved to be very fruitful. I mean, we had a lot of fun, and I think that show played really well. I think he's having a little more fun with it than drinking the Kool-Aid, because I mean, I don't know how many times you see a brown guy talk like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's really funny. That's why I was like, when we did that line and we just kind of ad-lib a few things and we tried to kind of have fun with that moment. We like, how do we bring it full circle? And that part to me was like the most obvious, and it's just, when you see Torres kind of bend the rules of his own guidelines, there's something really fun and that happens there. But like, who knows? We always kind of joke around and like, what did they do? Did they go karaoke afterwards? Like they just had, they went a bar hopping. Who knows what they did afterwards? So I think we always kind of have fun with that what ifs with these two characters, and especially if they're on assignment in a different state. Like what could go down, and so we had a lot of fun imagining that stuff. I wanted to do all of it, but as always, we had, I think, another episode or two to go. So I think they were like, let's not get you hurt anytime soon, But I did a lot of the galloping, and I did, as you can see, you can't fake, half of that stuff, because I was really on the horse running it and all that. So I had a lot of fun with that, and there was a couple more technical moments where, obviously we have to kind of be honest with ourselves and be like, that's. So the level of difficulty for that should be for the pros. But for the most part, I did most of the action that I needed to do for myself. So everything you saw there was definitely me. And then for the most difficult parts, it was definitely our team who does a great job of continuing to tell the story. We're continuing to cultivate that relationship between Torres and Knight. You know, we really are wanting to have the audience trust these guys together, and then in good or in bad or in success or in failure, you know, we want to go along with them, you know, in this thing. So in that scene particularly, you know, we were always thinking like, what did we do in the situation where everything reads a certain way? And then also we wanted to come across as like, okay, well, we're open, but then don't judge the book by its cover. You know, I mean, we also enter a situation where we learn not only so much about our suspect, but also our victim, that you know, that also Torres had a moment where he really realized, oh wow, this is a moment of serenity. This is a moment where that he can read, a moment that he can soulfully relate to in that church. So I love that. That specific moment. It's a moment that kind of calls you back to what Torres' struggle has been and what his journey has been. And I think that I'm grateful that the writers continue to cultivate that, because it lets the audiences really know that these characters not only have been through something, but it's not something that's disposable, that just kind of comes and then it goes away and then you don't reference it again. It's something that lets these characters feel like they're really alive in the world that the fans are watching. So for that scene, I mean, I think that was what that scene was about. It was like Torres have this subliminal, you know, acceptance that this is a place where, you know, he can consider home too, and that in any other circumstances, he probably sit on that chair and share it around that circle. I think that Torres is going to be very instrumental in the rebirth of Special Agent Knight. And I can't tell you much more because the finale is going to be very definitive, and it's going to do a reconstruction and deconstruction of what you think you knew about her. And, you know, eventually, you know, Torres will take a different role. You know, Torres might be and did not be in a major influence in her, you know, in that next chapter. And, you know, I mean, I don't want to say too much for the sake of, like, you know, ruin it, but the season finale is going to dictate a lot of what's going to be dynamically between these two for next year. I don't have a horse now. I've been thinking of buying a tiny little ranch somewhere so I can teach my daughter to ride. You know, this episode really inspired me to continue to dive into the stuff I love the most, you know, and I just, I love horses. It's a very spiritual relationship I have with horses, and I really want to make sure that I can continue to cultivate it. So I am really inspired by that. Riding horses is something that's for humanity. The relationship between humanity and horses is something that really fascinates me. I'm producing a project that's about that. You know, it's a documentary about that, and you know, and I just love it so much. So the fact that I could do it on NCIS was great, and yeah, so I'm continuing to take it more serious. You know, I'm gonna start training for some really complex riding very soon. For other things and other dreams of mine, as you might, you know, could imagine what I'm talking about. But
yeah.
Yeah, so that to me is something that is going to be very much real in my life. The funniest joke about it was that the horse that was my stunt horse, its name was Zorro. So we were like, what the hell just happened here? So it was very crazy, very meta. And it was like super meant to be that my worlds were kind of colliding in one scene, you know? And so it was very cool. It was very cool. So it was like these signs that tell you that something's, you know, that something's happening for a reason, you know? So yeah, but I couldn't believe it. I thought they were making it up and they weren't. But yeah, so that was very cool. But I think that for me, NCIS has been and will be, my home for a while. And I love my family there. I love my crew there, and I love everyone. And I love that they're so open to collaborate and continue to, iron out, what NCIS can be for generations. I said this in the Stephen Colbert show the other day. I talked about one of the secret sauces of the show. Yes, it's about the people solving the cases, but it really is NCIS's ability to read the moment, to be present in this generation, understanding what this show can be for the next generation, while also cultivating and giving back to the audiences that have been there from the beginning. And that's what NCIS does well. And, people ask me like, oh, how do you keep the show fresh, 1,000 episodes later? And it's very simple, by listening to the crowd, by listening to your fans, and by really just exploring and having the most fun you can with, where else human beings can go, and this show has this connection with the fans that is undeniable. We know what the fans want all the time, and we try to do as much, but we also try to surprise them on things that they didn't know they needed until they saw it, and that comes from that relationship, that long-standing relationship with the fans. So for sure, I can't wait to continue to cultivate, and going into next year, we're having some great conversations already. I'm trying to find ways in which NCIS can shock our audiences next. And nothing crazy. We're not going to draw too much on the lines, because it's important to know that one of the other special ingredients of NCIS is we know ourselves. We know what kind of show this is. So you're not going to see us like, try to intersect a submarine for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, we're definitely going to find the crime and investigation and mystery that this show has established, and continue to cultivate within that world, while still giving you characters that you love.